President Cyril Ramaphosa and French President Emmanuel Macron are set to discuss the global COVID-19 response recovery plan during a meeting today. The two heads of state will also pay a visit to the Vaccine Production Support Initiative for Africa at the University of Pretoria. And they'll be talking about strengthening the alliance between South Africa and France. eNCA's senior reporter Siphamandla Goge has more on the story and joins us now. Good afternoon to you, Siphamandla. So what are we expecting the two leaders to talk about?
Well, at the center of this state visit is the issue of COVID-19 and its impact on the economy. So the main 2 points that will feature strongly here is the issue of COVID-19, vaccines, as well as how to revive the economy post-COVID-19 pandemic. But let me tell you that we have just seen a delegation from France arriving. This French delegation, mainly comprising of media personnel from France, they have just arrived at the Union buildings. We expect that diplomats and ministers will be joining them shortly. So this is the first batch of the French delegation, mainly media houses from France. Of course, this has generated some media interest from France and South Africa, bearing in mind that this is Emmanuel Macron's first state visit to South Africa. If my memory serves me well, it was Francois Hollande who last visited South Africa in 2013. I hope my memory serves me well in that regard. But as you see here, the French media has arrived. They are busy taking pictures, some of them, and they are being given their media accreditation and tags by the staff from the French embassy in South Africa. So their arrival signals the fact that diplomats and ministers will now follow, as we expect that the South African delegation of ministers here should arrive around about 12:30, as we expect that the French president is expected at least to arrive here by 1 o'clock. By 1:30, we expect that proceedings will get underway. But take a walk with me. Let's show you what is happening. So the red carpet is set. It's being rolled out here. Everything has been done. Preparations have been finalized for this state visit. So basically the aim of the visit is to deepen bilateral cooperation between South Africa and France. Of course, there are issues of interest here that they will deal with, and those issues also have to do with the reforms of the United Nations Security Council. That's a powerful council which comprises of 5 permanent members. They include France, China, Russia, the United Kingdom, and the United States. Our viewers would recall that South Africa has been calling for reforms of the United Nations Security Council. They are calling for South Africa or for other African countries or the continent to be allocated a permanent seat there. We will try and go back down there as we hear more sirens. That tells you that more and more people are arriving. But the gist of this state visit has got to do with how both countries form strategic partnerships in terms of trade, investment, the economy, but also how to deal with issues of climate change as well as the vaccination rollout. Both countries have been ravaged by the COVID-19 pandemic. South Africa, which is Africa's most industrialized economy, is finding itself grappling with the issues of vaccination rollout. About 1% of the population, including healthcare workers and the elderly, have been vaccinated. The bigger chunk of the population have not been vaccinated. There are concerns about Africa as a continent being unable to produce its own vaccines. So those will feature strongly here.
Of course, we are at this point only speculating about what exactly they'll be focusing on, the two heads of state, in terms of their discussion, but you are highlighting the fact that COVID-19, the vaccine rollout, and just the struggles that Africa as a continent has been having is going to be top of the agenda. Can we perhaps expect a request from President Cyril Ramaphosa for assistance from France in the regard of helping us with our rollout?
Indeed, that has always happened. Remember that President Cyril Ramaphosa and other African heads of states were in France for that Africa financing initiative. I think last week they were there. They discussed that issue in particular. Africa right now needs all the help it can get in terms of accessing those vaccines, as we are walking down there to show you what is happening. So not only South Africa as a country, but the continent as a whole is asking for help from other powerful nations in in terms of vaccines. Remember here that this global response to COVID-19 and to the economic health, is one of the bigger issues that South Africa and the continent is grappling with. And the bigger question here and the bigger picture is what will happen post-COVID-19 pandemic? How will South Africa and other nations of the world recover and rebuild their economies? Because they need trillions of US dollars or trillions of South African rands in particular for the country to be able to rebuild its economy. So hence they will be visiting that vaccination center there at the University of Pretoria, where my hardworking colleague Kaelihle Khumalo will be. The focus will be on vaccination, rollout, vaccination, production for South Africa, but also for the continent as well. Remember, African countries are struggling. South Africa's economy is performing dismally here, so they need each and every help they can get to get these vaccines so that they can proceed with the rollout program here. But also you have international organizations and bodies such as the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank being part of these discussions that will be happening here in South Africa. Well, some people will say once you involve the IMF and the World Bank, you are opening up yourself for further scrutiny and for tighter measures, as those institutions are known to prescribe and basically tell countries what to do with their policies in terms of austerity measures. But right now, the real situation is that South Africa and other African countries are struggling.
All right, Siphamandla, we will leave it there for now. Thank you very much. That is our senior reporter, Siphamandla Goge, who is outside the union buildings.